Man to man, combat hand to hand, hands locked, ready for the last stand, elbow drops, kicks fade bang. If I can hate you, levitate, better settle mate, lights out, knocked out by the heavyweight.
Hi, it's Toby from Heavyweight MMA. It's not every day you get to meet a real kamikaze. Today we're here with a real kamikaze, Phresh Kuhne, lightweight MMA fighter. How are you, bro?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. How are you?
I'm excellent, man. It's good to meet you. I've been watching you destroy people in your last few fights, man, and I'm very happy to be able to have a chat with you.
Thanks, man. I'm glad we can finally get around to doing this. I don't do the old podcast too much because I don't like the sound of my own voice on the cameras and stuff, but I'm happy to do this one for you, bro.
Thanks, man. I listened to one of your ones. It went for 2.5 hours, bro. That was a long listen, eh?
Yeah, I didn't realize what I got myself into. I think I had a little blaze before that one too, and we just got carried away, so that was all right.
Yeah, man, but there was some good stuff in there, to be honest. Like you covered heaps of topics and that. It wasn't bad chat to listen to. I'll post it down. I'll put it in the bottom so someone can have a look if they're interested. Eh?
Yeah, that's sick. Sounds good.
Yeah, man. The interesting thing that came from that is I didn't realize like about your artistic background, having only really seen your fights, man. So it's cool to hear that you have that sort of passion towards something other than fighting. Like you had your graffiti, interest in graffiti, and then moving into tattoo artistry, and now using your artistic skills to make Jackson Pollock paintings of people's blood on the canvas, bro. It's beautiful.
Oh man, master of the arts, I guess now. Hey, like I'm a tattoo artist. I draw. Graffiti artist, as you mentioned. And yeah, now I'm a martial artist. So I'm got a few disciplines under me.
Nah, it's sick, man. It's good that you've got different trades as well, just to back you up in the event of anything goes wrong with one or the other. You got a backup, man. It's perfect.
Yeah, well, that's it, man. Like, to be honest, man, like, as you know, and I guess most people know who follow the fight industry, there's not huge money in fighting unless you're at the top of the game, So for me, it's quite a sacrifice for me to actually do this sport. But it was something that there was a fire in my belly. And, once I had that first fight, that fire was just lit and I can't put it out now, and I'm just chasing that goal now, I've got a little taste for it and, I'm stuck and I'm all in now.
That's it, man. And I should mention that you trained out of CMBT Combat in Varsity Lakes, Queensland, and also about your shop, Phresh Ink.
Phresh Ink, yeah.
I checked it out before. Some great work there, man. I like that. Your style has that little bit of a trace back to graffiti too, right?
Yeah, I do, man. Yeah, so I like that sort of anarchy, over the top, sort of really aggressive style, a little bit trashy, but sort of adds of realism and pops of color and stuff. I do a bit of everything, but yeah, that's the stuff that I really enjoy doing. That's it,
man. Hey, what was that guy's name that you mentioned that's a graffiti artist? I looked him up at the time, but I forget his name.
Matty Bro.
God damn, that's the best artist I've ever seen in mural work, man. I've never seen anything like that. I had to look it up after listening to you guys.
Yeah, man. Kudos to Matty, bro. He's a real good mate of mine. I stay on the contact with him, like, on a weekly basis, sometimes a daily basis. He's just an inspirational dude, man. We have two different crafts. Like now I'm off doing something else, but both like-minded people. He's very business orientated. He's a very hard worker. He gets his shit done, and we bounce a lot of ideas off each other and talk to each other and inspire each other a lot. So yeah, he's a good dude. For anyone want to check him out, Matty Bro Art on Instagram.
Yeah, thoroughly recommend it, man. Amazing work. Hey, how did you first get into it, man? It's quite interesting. I remember Shane Young from UFC fighter from CKB. He mentioned he was a bit interested in graffiti, I think. And now you're mentioning it too. How did you start into that, man?
Into graffiti?
Yeah.
I guess it was just in my younger days. There was a local artist who went to my school who was a graffiti artist, and he was just up and around the town, like right where I was, and his art just blew my mind. And then from that, I'd met a couple of other lads that were sort of just dabbling into the craft. So I think we would go and like steal cans from the art class, and then after the school we just walk down the train lines and start tagging and writing our name. And then before we knew it, I was hooked on that. And then that led from one thing to another. You start doing your tags on the fences, and then it turns into throwies, turns into pieces. Then I did characters, and then before you know it, I'm doing full-fledged murals for people and getting paid for it. And that's just a development over time of the craft.
The start of it is that thrill seeking thing though too, which probably is part of you jumping in the ring as well, right? That you like that adrenaline rush because you're there doing something that's going to take you time, and there's a risk of getting caught and hauled off, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. And I think that's another one too. You know, is like I love the like you said, I love the thrill. You know, I love the doing something you're not supposed to, or doing something that's sort of against the grain. You know, something about that just drew me to it. And that translated into my tattooing as well. I, doing a piece on someone, or doing a piece on a wall or on a highway or something, it may not be there forever, and no one may know who you did it. And that sort of translated into my tattooing, where like I'll do a tattoo on someone and then I may never see them or that tattoo again, so, but I know that my artwork's out there, and, I just love that aspect of it.
Yeah. So it's interesting how the passion that you have for the graffiti and that transferred to tattoo work, and then that passion kind of led you around the world too. It's a cool story, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So like as you said, man, like after I sort of put my roots in and really got my craft under me and worked really hard, when I came up to tattooing there in the industry, the information wasn't readily available as it was now. The industry was run heavily by bikies, so to get a foot in the door, you sort of had to do what you had to do to be there, and you had to sort of be a bit more rough around the edges just to sort of just to be in that industry. And then like once I worked on my craft and built myself up, I started getting sponsorship. I started getting noticed around the world. Instagram and Facebook and all that shit wasn't really so big then. Even the information of getting your reference to create tattoos, you didn't have Google where you could just get certain images. You'd have to go to the library and you'd have to find books of whatever subject matter you were going to be tattooing, whether it be a cat or a dog or, like a Hanya mask or something Japanese. You'd have to go and seek out the reference to create your own original artworks and something like that, So back in the day, traveling the world, doing it at such a young part of my career, as opposed to being able to do it now, I'd have to take like 23 or 20 kilos of tattoo equipment with me to travel the world. And you're only allowed 23 kilos in your baggage, so I've only got like 3 kilos of my shit and then my backpack full of stuff, and I'm just tattooing and traveling as I go. And that took me around the world and opened my eyes to a lot of things.
It's kind of cool how if those three things kind of relate to each other in a way. If you look at tattooing, graffiti art, and fighting as kind of careers, they're all kind of free in a way, right? Like you're your own master, man. That's one thing that's kind of cool about it. Like I've been working with people my whole life, man, and it's like a fantasy of mine to be my own boss in a way, but you're doing it already, man.
I think, man, so like before all that, I got kicked out of school for fighting, funny enough, year 10. So last term, year 10. So I didn't really get too much out of the school. Mind you, I'm doing a lot better than my school peers are now, with the business and everything that I've got going on. Yep. But like it's definitely it's definitely like working for yourself, and I just knew that I didn't want to work for the man. Like I did a year and a half of labor. I did 3 years of an electrical apprenticeship, and then we went through a recession and my boss hadn't paid me, and I was living out of home as a third year apprentice, so over 10 years ago, like 12, 15 years ago, something like that. So you can imagine we're getting paid like $300-400 a week that we couldn't survive on it. I had to move back in with my parents and leave that job. And I didn't really love the being a tradie. I always had a passion for art, and so that was when I had a chance to decide this isn't for me, and this is I'm going to have to pursue something that I can do for myself. And it's about like when you're doing an apprenticeship or something, no matter how hard I worked, how much I learned or how much I did, you still have to stick to the curriculum, and you can only grow so far. Whereas in art, or in tattooing, or in graffiti, or in MMA, however much I was putting in is how much work is I'm going to get back out of it. And that's what drew me to sort of all these crafts and all these careers, because I am a hard worker. I am someone who's always constantly seeking the information. I'm staying up late night, every night, watching, film and tape and studying and seeking out whatever information I can, because I'm hungry on the subject, and I just involve myself in it. And it shows in my, in my practice and in the results that I do in all of those crafts.
And then on a lighter side, like I talked to Cam Ralston, who's a CKB fighter from Australia, actually. And he was saying that he loves the fact that his job is just getting up in the morning, put on a pair of shorts and flip-flops or thongs or whatever, walk into the gym. Like for you could do that at any of those sort of jobs, right? Like you can run your own show. You don't have to wear a fucking suit with a tie or whatever, you know?
Nah, that's always a good one too. I don't miss wearing uniforms, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's it, man. So you mentioned about when you were growing up having some fights and that, man. Can you talk about your upbringing a bit? Like you said you got two brothers and doing a bit of the gangster life when you were, I think you said until your early 20s. So I don't know when that kicked off. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, look, man, I like I said, I got kicked out of school for being a rat bag, you know, just like year 10. And it wasn't nothing to do with my parents or my upbringing. You know, I had a great upbringing. I got a good family, good. All my peers was good, you know, good. And it's just, it was just something that was like, I think that what it really came down to was like, I enjoyed fighting and I was that guy, you know, you got these three mates, you know, or, you know, 4 or 5 mates that you go out with. 3 of them are trying to get girls. One of them's the entertainer and one of them's the guy looking for fights. And I was the guy looking for fights. That was, you know, and you know, and it's, I didn't know how to channel it or what it was back in the day, but I got a kick out of it, you know, and it wasn't so much that I was out there, you know, trying to start fights, but I wasn't out there not putting myself in positions where they wouldn't be, you know, like it was just like that. And through no fault of anyone else's but my own, you know, like I got in a lot of fights and trouble and, you know, a lot of gang violence and a lot of shit back in the day. And, you know, it wasn't until I actually got into tattooing where I had to realize, like, you know, and I started breaking my hands and then it put me out of work for a few months. And I realized, like, I can't keep this shit up, you know, I can't keep doing this. And then especially after I came back from traveling around the world with my tattooing career, I came back and I wanted to open my own studio. And I did that. And then when I had other people working for me, I realized that it's just not my own livelihood on the line anymore. Like if I get done doing dumb shit and getting in fights, like it's other people out of their job, you know, and I lose my license here and, you know, it's other people's families that are going to get fed and stuff. So it's like the bigger picture sort of really dawned on me. And that's where I really, you know, let that shit go and, you know, became a man, I guess.
Yeah, man. You talk about like kind of gang life. What is that? Where was this at? Was this up in Queensland, Gold Coast area?
Yeah, so it's in Queensland, on the Gold Coast. It's very bikey. Back in the day when I grew up, it's very heavily run by bikies here, man. Like we have such a high bikey presence. I think a lot of the Vlad laws, which was targeted to motorcycle gangs and stuff like that, really stem from right here on the Gold Coast and from the violence and the shootings and the stabbings and everything that came out of here. You know, I was pretty heavily involved in a lot of it. And, you know, and it's just like, as a young kid, I got a kick out of being this, you know, young kid, like, you know, 60, 70 kilos, just punching on and beating the shit out of bikies and, you know, and having a laugh out of it. But quick enough as that was happening, a target was on my back. Like this young cunt he's coming up, you know, he needs to get put to bed because we can't have this, you know. And before I knew it, everywhere I went, like there was a target on my back and someone was trying to start a fight with me, and I'm not one to turn one down. So, you know, it followed me for a while, but, you know, once I got my shit together and, you know, once I started being really business orientated and having a team of people who I was supporting and building them up as artists and building them up and building them around, all that shit faded away, man. And it didn't mean nothing to me anymore. Like I didn't give a shit about reputation or what people thought, or if I had to fight someone to prove anything to anyone. Like all that shit's just got left to bed when I was, you know, probably about 20 years old.
Yeah. But that experience dealing with that shit and being out in that sort of environment helped you in a way when you opened your store, right? To kind of protect your shit and hold it down until, you know, the laws and everything kind of made it easier for you.
Yeah, that's right. So when I opened the studio, I sort of did it at a perfect time for Queensland, which sort of gave me a head start in the game. I did it when it was still run by bikies. So, you know, I had to defend my territory in a sense, you know. I had people coming to try and stand over me, and I had all that shit happening to me. And, you know, I just never took a backward step, and I just fucking buried my feet in the ground. And I just said, this is my land. This is where I'm staying. And no one's going to do anything to me. I'm not getting taxed. I'm not copping it, you know. So sure enough, man, they all faded out when they realized that I wasn't going to do anything or pay anything. So, and then all these biking laws came in where Motorcycle gangs can't have affiliation with, these tattoo studios and so forth. And it opened the floodgates to the tattoo industry. So now any willy-nilly can just go open up a shop. And you've seen the rise in tattoo studios since, man. I think we've got probably 5 to 10 times the amount of shops that we did prior to the bikies being involved with it than we do now, which is probably the opposite effect of what the government wanted.
Yeah, man. And just you talked about having that energy back then, that kind of maybe negative energy that you're turning into more positive energy by having an outlet like fighting, right? I'm interested, when you watch you before you have a fight, man, you look like a motherfucker, man. You look like that guy that wants to smash people. Is that old person that used to be fighting in the streets?
That is it, man.
The ring, right? I can see it in your face, bro.
It is, man. It brings me back to my childhood where, I'm surrounded by all my mates and everyone, and we're kicking off in these gang fights and we're punching on with bikies and all this stuff's happening. And it's just you got everyone around you screaming, and it's a lively atmosphere, and it fills me with energy. And they're like, get him, Joshy, get him, Kuhne, and I'm in there, doing my thing. It just brings me back to that, man. And, for me, for everyone else, they were having, they were freaking out because it was crazy. But for me, I'm having the time of my life, I'm the guy who was out here looking for this shit, So to have an outlet, to stop doing that for so many years, focus on business, build this other career, but know that fire still lingers in my belly. And then to go and, start actually practicing martial arts, and then to put myself in the cage to see if it wasn't just me being a rough head when I was a kid, or it's actually something that I was actually good at, to see that I am good at it, and to see that, my people that can support me in it, and not, my parents don't have to be ashamed that I'm out there fighting people of an evening and worried about what's happening and what I'm doing. And, am I going to go to jail, or am I going to get locked up, or is this the last time I'm going to go to court? All that stuff, it's all behind me now, and they can support me because I'm actually doing a sport in where my peers can clap and applaud me for doing what I'm doing, and that makes me happy. That makes me excited. And I want to put a show on for my people, and I want to go out and be the best version of myself. And it does. It fills me with energy, and it brings me back to that childhood moment. And I'm happy to be there. I love it. I genuinely love it, it's just, and like you said, you can see it, man. I'm not faking anything, man. From behind the scenes to when I walk out to when I walk in the cage, I love every moment of it. Yeah,
that's it, man. And speaking of going out there and performing, man, your recent fight in November 2000 and it was the last year, right? 2021 against Tyler Kelly, man. Once again, just a KO in the first round. So now you got three pro fights, 3 KOs, and the previous 3 fights in amateur were also KOs, right?
Yeah. So I've never been out of the first round. Collectively, I think I've only done about a round's worth of cage time. It's not me trying to go out there and just rush anything. I think people just feel that, like I said, man, I'm this small dude, I'm not like a heavyweight or anything like that, but I've been battling these massive dudes. I've been battling giants since I was a kid, man. So for me to go out there and fight a dude my size, it's actually comforting to me, it's not anything, it's not anything that's going to worry me, man. I step into that cage and there's not 2 dudes behind me that can dog shot me and another guy with a knife and this guy with a baseball bat. No, it's just one dude my weight and a doctor, and a ref and a doctor, it's easy pickings for me, this is enjoyable. This is nothing to be worried about. So, and I think that the other thing is I'm very heavy handed, as you can see, people can see it, and to hit lightweights with the power that I have, I just think that no one's really expecting it. And I think no one's really respected it enough to, game plan me enough to really, and really capitalize on what they can do or how they should approach me or whatever, because, they're getting tagged and they're feeling it,
Yeah. I was watching a fight yesterday with one of my colleagues, and I'm one of yours, and I'm going, if I see that motherfucker, I could see that look on your face. I'm fucking straight for the legs. I'm not standing up with that guy. And
they're trying, man. Like I've said in another previous podcast, I'm working on my wrestling, man. I'm working on my jits. No one's had a chance to see those sides of the game, because they haven't been able to get me there. At the end of the day, I want to go out there and fight. I want to go out there and put on an entertaining show. I want to go on there and stand there and give these people what they paid for. They paid there to see 2 people be violent inside this cage and duke it out, right? That's that primitive thing. That's what people, paying to see. The real massive fans, they like to see, those grappling exchanges and stuff. And me as a fight fan, I can appreciate it too. But for the most people, they just want to see two dudes punch the shit out of each other. And that's what I want too, you know? So like, I'm going to try and keep it on the feet, and I'm going to try and knock someone out because it's in my nature.
True, man. That's exciting. And what you're talking about, it's interesting how the fighting big guys outside of the ring and that translates to what I see is you get in there, you've got no fucking respect for their hands, man. So you don't have any respect. You don't care if they're hitting you because you don't feel like it's going to hurt you. And you're keeping it in your world. And then the grappling side of it too, people have tried, but you're overpowering them too. So that's in both sides of things. You're sort of holding your own with the people your own weight, right? Yeah.
And man, at combat, you know, we've got some of the heaviest wrestlers there, man. I've got like Brenton Mumford in my team now, and this will be my first fight with an actual coach. Like prior to now, I've been sort of just, you know, picking a little bit up off this coach and a little bit off that coach and a little bit off this fighter, a little bit off of them. So this time I've had, you know, one voice to reason. And even like, you know, when I'm sparring now, just having one voice of saying what to do, where to do it, doing the things that we've drilled in pads, my levels have just gone boom, skyrocketed, man. So that's why I'm really excited for this fight, to go out and show the levels that I've actually got, man, and to see the gains in my performance, and to show that I'm not a one trick pony, man, and I can take it anywhere and I can do anything, man. Like, you know, Ty Wall, Darcy Bendy, these dudes are just absolute beasts when it comes to wrestling. You know, their all-rounded game is intense, but I've got these dudes who are like pushing me to the limits when it comes to wrestling. So like, if someone's going to try to wrestle me, that's not going to be easy. They think that they can just take me down and hold me down, and that's their game plan. They better have something else ready for them, because it's not going to be as easy as that, I promise.
Yeah, man. And one, as you mentioned, fighting on May 7th, Eternal MMA 65 against Dim Skillies, who's 5-4 in MMA, but he's also a stand-up fighter, right? Boxing, Muay Thai. He's got a good experience, man, and fighting under a very good gym, NTG under Nugget McNaught. So, you know, this guy's not going to be any cakewalk, right? He's going to be a difficult opponent for you.
Well, man, look, this is what excites me about this fight. I like Dimps, actually. Dimps is a mate of mine. I've blazed with him. I've hung out with him. You know, we've trained together a little bit. You know, we talk on back and forth on social media. There's no hard feelings or no anguish towards each other. We're just both running out of opponents, and you know, we're sort of one of those things that you have to meet. And it's a fan favorite, man. Like we're both out here. We're both entertainers. We both want to put on a show. We both love the sport, so the job had to get done. And you know, like I said, I like Dimps. But, you know, this is an exciting fight for me. Dimps hasn't been finished in MMA. You know, I think he's had one stoppage in boxing from a very, very, very high-level boxer. Prior to that, he doesn't get stopped. He doesn't get finished. He just keeps going. He just keeps coming forward. So for me, that's exciting. So if I can go out and put this guy out and be the first to stop him and be the first to finish him, that's going to show the levels of where I'm at compared to these other professionals in Australia, you know, like.
True, man. And one of the advantages you have is your boy, Brenton Mumford, also fought him earlier, right? So that'll give you a little bit of an insight into him as well, yeah?
Exactly, yeah. So he's exactly that, you know. He's stand there before him, you know. He's fought him before and, you know, come out on top victorious. And, you know, they fought in a slippery cage, so it changes the circumstances quite a lot. But we think we have, well, you know, we've got the tools to beat him. We've got the game plan to beat him. And more than not, like, I think it's just exciting that we're both hungry dudes who just want to stand there and fucking absolutely duke it out, you know, which is what it's all about. Yeah, man.
Best of luck in that one. Hey, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned about going to a bigger organization. You mentioned UFC, but you're not really like just fixed on that, right? Like there's a few big organizations around the world that you'd be interested in should you know, keep going, ascending the ranks, man.
Yeah, look, man, to be honest, I just let my team do their part. I'm working with some new people behind the scenes. I'll be announcing that pretty soon. And look, whatever unfolds for me is what unfolds for me. I know that UFC is interested in me. They did a little segment on their UFC website and on UFC Fight Pass of fighters to watch for this year. And, you know, I was the only Australian name on that list, you know, so the UFC has their eyes on me. They're definitely aware of me. My past managers constantly talking to Sean Shelby, who's the matchmaker for the lightweight division. They're totally aware of me. They just haven't seen enough of what I can do. And they know that it's a bit of a risk taking me on because I'm going out there and starting these guys so quick that I know what other aspects of my games is actually there. So I think this is why the Dimps fight now excites me, is because I can show what levels I'm at. And I can show that there's more to the Kamikaze than what people have seen.
Yeah, man, look forward to it. Hey, I just wanted to have a little bit of insight into what it's like up in the scene, the MMA scene up in the Gold Coast sort of area, your general area. Like, how is it up there, man, for training? I know there's a few good Thai boxing gyms. What other sort of MMA gyms and that have you got going up there?
Man, like when I wanted to get into MMA, I floated around the Gold Coast for a while, man. And you know, I bounced from gym to gym and gym to gym, and there just wasn't dudes my weight at the time fighting, which is funny now because lightweight division seems to be the most active one, and with just like so much great competition. When Combat first opened their doors, I was there day one. And, you know, I just started my amateur career there, building off what we had there. And before we know it now, all the bodies are flocked in and we've got like a whole roster of dudes around my weight to train with, you know, and plenty of bodies. So I keep it pretty firm within the combat training facilities, but I also branch out and, you know, we do little bits and bobs with other places and stuff. Platinum Boxing is where I first sort of started my combat sports, really. Like I started working under Chris Carden from Platinum Boxing in the ring. He's an unbelievable coach. I can't say a bad word about him. He's obviously got the credentials. He's got the fighters. He's got Rowan Murdoch fighting under him. So having him, I still go and see him oftenly to, you know, keep my boxing sharp and to just have that original coach, you know, just talking to me, you know, just giving me that words of advice and just to have, you know, a proper coach talking to you like a coach should, really keeps me grounded and really keeps me level-headed as an athlete.
That's it, man. Hey, with this fight coming up, interested in how you're balancing your training sessions and your, you know, work, etc. I think I heard you say that you train sometimes 3 to 5 times a day. That's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, man. So like, you know, like I said, because I've done things backwards to how most fighters do. You know, most fighters start fighting at a young age, you know, maybe 15, 16, 17, 18, whatever it is, you know, and they dedicate their life to it from that young age. And when you're at that young age, you live with your parents, you don't need to do too much rather than go to training and hang out with your mates and then go back to training and do whatever you do, you know. I didn't do that until, you know, until later in life. What I did was I set up my business. I set up my foundations. I bought myself a home. I bought myself an investment property. You know, I've now bought myself my tattoo studio and built this business in which, you know, it turns over and it pays for my lifestyle. So now I have the time on my hand where I can train all day, every day. Apart from my family obligations and running my business, I juggle a lot, but I have a good team behind me to do that too, you know? So I train, do 2 sessions in the morning. We have the break and it'll be like 2 in the evening, you know, or 3 in the evening. It's good. I'm doing it 6 days a week. I take the Sunday off. I'm training with, like I said, I got Brenton Mumford. He's my coach now. And, you know, he's been around the game and he's trained with all the top athletes. He's good mates with Volk. You know, he's trained with the CKB boys. He's trained over at Tiger. He's taken the best parts of training aspects from what they deliver, what they have, you know, and he made it in his own program, what he was doing for himself. And now he's helping customize that to myself. And I'm training like the UFC professionals are, like, you know, and because I'm doing that, it's showing in my performances.
Yeah, man, that's good. Interested also in, as we talk about, you know, UFC guys and that, there's a lot of different science coming into it now, man. You mentioned that you're working with Geordie, the fight dietitian. This is the sort of thing that can give you that 1% edge, right? And then there's all lots of other things like the strength and conditioning, rest and recovery, sauna, ice baths, all that. What other things are you doing apart from nutrition to kind of kick yourself that little bit extra level?
I'm doing a lot of that stuff, man. I do all the things that you named above, man. I make sure I fit all that stuff into my week. Recovery is a big part of the program, man, because obviously with the amount of training that I'm doing, I need to be keeping up with the amount of recovery to match that, man, because, you know, otherwise you're just dying in these sessions and you're not getting anything out of it, and then you're getting injured. On top of that, 2 things that I've started doing just by watching some of the top athletes and making sure that I'm, you know, seeing what they're doing and seeing the improvements that they're making because of it, is working on breath work, something I've started doing, and meditation.
Yeah,
these 2 things have been really good to me, only just as of late, because at first I've been trying to meditate just because I've seen and I've read about the benefits of it for years, but I'm just like, my mind's too active. Like, I'm not very good sleeper because my brain just turns over at 1,000,000 miles an hour at night. So to finally actually have someone who's going through that meditation process and teaching me that it's not something that just comes natural. You actually have to work for it. And, you know, like I build it into my schedule now, just like I do anything else in my training program. I build in my meditation time. So it's like, you know, I'll meditate at this time. I give myself a window. And, you know, now that I've done that, it's actually becoming more natural. And the breath works side of the meditation, I'm taking that into my training. So when I'm recovering, I'm making sure that I'm slowing down my breath. When I'm training, when I'm fighting, I'm making sure that I'm in control of my breathing, and I'm not just like, you know, exerting myself out and you know, and just fucking dying in the ass because I'm not controlling my breathing. So those two things have been massive for me. Only as of lately, because I put it into practice over the last couple of months. You know, prior to that, it was just a chore, you know, but now that I'm seeing the benefits from it, I'm pretty excited to see what happens in the future for me with it.
Yeah, man. That you mentioned about the breath, it's interesting. Like I pay a lot of attention to CKB boys. I've talked to them a bit, and they're right into the breath, and they work with a guy called Dave Wood. And linking back to Geordie did a great podcast with Dave Wood. I'll send you a link if you haven't seen it, man. It's incredible. He talks about breathing like I've never heard people talk about it before. Like that they're, I don't know, hard to explain from a
yeah, I've seen it all, man. I keep up to date with everything that those guys are doing, man. They're at the top of the game for a reason, you know. So like, I'm going to pay close attention to what they do, and if there's anything I can take from them, I do, you know, and I implement it into my own game for sure.
Yeah, should go directly to the man, bro. Dave Wood, nice, approachable guy, bro. So if you're interested, hook up with him.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Hey, bro, you mentioned that fighting is 4 things: technique, fitness, brain, heart. And you said, did you say you've got the last 2? Is that what you're saying? Brain and heart? Was that what you were saying in the interview?
I said, man, when I very first started, like, you know, the way I see it, yeah, you know, you've got your brain, you know, which is your mental game, your heart, which you nearly need to sort of take it out, you know, your fitness and your technique, right? Yeah. So like when I first started, fitness and technique is something that you, as an amateur, you're not really probably going to be, you know, the top at, you know, that takes work, that takes time. And, you know, and I understand that. But when it comes to mentality, I've got the best. And when it comes to heart, there's no one like me that's got that either. So, you know, those 2 things I already had in the bank, and those 2 things got me to where I'm at now. But now that I've been doing this sport for a while now, and I've been training like in the way that I have, you know, those other aspects of technique and fitness, those now play a big part in my game, which is, you know, why I'm excited to go out there and fight a hard dude like Dims, because, you know, he's going to bring the fire. He's going to bring the best fight out of me. He's going to bring the best version of the Kamikaze that the people are yet to see. And, you know, that excites me too, because, you know, I want to show that I'm not just a 30, you know, it's like, yeah, I might go out there and get another quick knockout, and that's fine. Nothing to say to that. But, you know, there is levels to what I'm doing, and it'd be nice to show that.
Yeah, man, it's interesting because I was going to ask you, like, how far does your current kind of style take you? But from what you're saying, you've already answered that there's a lot more that you haven't been able to show just because of the nature of the fights, right? They've been too short. You've been too dominant to actually demonstrate. But yeah, look forward to seeing the techniques come out, eh?
Yeah, man, for sure.
Hey, like I said, you look like a mean cunt in the ring when you're psyching your opponent out, bro. You don't look like you've really got any psychological issues being in there, but do you do any preparation at all to prepare for war or not?
Nah. Like I said, man, I just love it, man. Like the closer it gets to the fight, it's like Christmas when you're a kid, like, you know, like, ooh, you know, I'm getting excited. Like, you know, I hate the water loading, and I hate the dieting, and I hate the cutting of those last couple of weeks. But, you know, that's part of the sport. That, you know, but that adds fire to the belly again. You know, like it's just one of those things that I use as fuel to fuel me to, you know, get in there and, you know, be even more aggressive and be even more angry. In saying that, you know, I control my emotions, and I'm completely calm, and I'm completely aware of what's going on. I don't get that typical adrenaline dump that most people do when they get themselves into like that fight or flight situation, or they get into a fight. They might have a moment of blackout or a moment of lapse just because of the adrenaline takes over, and, you know, they don't realize what's happened for the first 10, 15 seconds of a fight before that's underway. Like, I'm already on top of this dude, fucking throwing knuckles down his throat, you know, like it's just there's a difference in the mentality, and that's the mentality, right? And in the heart, I'm ready to dig deep when it comes to it. You know, my training partners, my sparring partners, they get to see that, but it'd be nice to show that on, you know, on live display in the cage in front of the people.
That's it, man. It's kind of funny. You're the second person in a couple of weeks that said it's like Christmas when they're going out to the fight. Muay Thai fighter called Grace Spicer trains over with some of the hard lads over in the UK. Yeah, she said exactly the same thing. It's like it's Christmas Day for her. She's all pumped.
Yeah, it is, man. I love it, man. Like, you know, it fills me with energy. You know, I know my body's at peak performance. You know, like I feel great. My moods are great. You know, I'm doing what I love. I'm doing this because I choose to do it, man. Like, you know, if I was driven by money or fame, I would have just continued down the path that I was doing. You know, like I'm successful in my craft. You know, I'm a well sought after tattoo artist, charging top dollar for my tattoos with a client list a mile long. You know, like I could drum up clients like that. You know, and people pay top dollar to have me tattooing them. The financial losses that I'm making just by training every day, it's a sacrifice in itself, man. You know, so to say that I'm going to go out there and do this, I do love it. You know, that shows, man, because I'm not doing it for, and like even in, you know, for getting fame or notoriety or for people noticing me. I was doing that in the tattoo industry already, man. Like I'd already made a name for myself. I was already getting guest spots and getting flown around the world with my sponsors to go to Colombia, to go to Mexico, to go to LA, to go to all these shows around the world, to have my art being performed, you know, over there and on display. So like I could have just continued down the path that I was already successful, but it wasn't about that for me, you know. And then now that it's sort of catching traction on the other end, it's still not about that for me, because, you know, my original desire is just to compete in fighting and, you know, do it in a professional manner where my friends and family can be proud of me because of it.
Cool, man. Hey, so you're a successful, you know, artist, tattoo artist. You're successful so far with fighting, kicking ass. I like to know, like, you know, not everyone gets to experience what you're doing and pump themselves, push themselves so hard, like into training and all that. Interested in like what advice you have for people, you know, your general person about, you know, pushing themselves to train, to be healthy, to be successful. Do you have any sort of advice or how you would recommend people go about it?
Yeah, look, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, right? People are so worried about, oh, if I start off, I'm not going to be very good at it. Or, you know, what are people going to think? Or, you know, or I don't have the time to do it, or I'm a bit tired, or people make excuses to never get started. And that's your biggest loss right there. Like you really need to just get your shit together. Don't worry about what people think, you know, and go out there and start something for yourself. Imagine me, who went from being successful in what I was doing to start at the very bottom of something again, which was, you know, training in mixed martial arts and getting absolutely my ass handed to me in the gym, because of these guys are professional. These guys are doing it for years. It's not just a brawl anymore, you know. I had to start at the bottom just like everyone else did, you know. And yeah, now I'm doing well because I worked really hard for it. You have to make that start. You have to make that leap to, you know, get started. And that's half the battle, you know, getting out of bed, getting the job done. You know, first thing is just get started. And stop beating yourself up about it. Don't stop sitting on the sideline. Stop making excuses. Stop saying that, oh, today's not good, or, you know, it's a bit rainy today, I'm not going to go for a run, or whatever. That's bullshit. Just get up and get it done, because you'll feel better about it later.
Yeah, man, it kind of ties in with another point that some of the high level professionals and professional coaches I've talked to said is, you know, people don't get to the top necessarily by being the most talented guy. So everyone has a chance of being the top of whatever game they're trying to find, just by starting, like you said, is the first point. And the second part is then being consistent, because the consistent people are the people that achieve their goals, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. Look, I'm 31 now. I probably only started combat sports and had my first fight like less than 2, maybe 3 years ago. So to say that, you know, I'm too old for this, or, you know, I missed my shot or whatever, that's bullshit too. Don't let anyone tell you that your age defines where you stand in life, you know. That's some bullshit, you know. Anyone making excuses for themselves is just that. It's an excuse. Unless you go out there and try, you don't know, you know. Like people told me, oh, you're a bit old to be doing that, or, you know, where are you going to go now? Like it's, you know, you started too late, you know. Look at me now, you know, I'm actually succeeding in what I'm doing. I'm getting noticed by the right people. UFC is putting me on as fighters to watch, you know. So I wasn't too old for everyone that was thinking that. And I was thinking that myself, you know. I was in my own head saying, oh, what am I doing? You know, I'm sitting under a sweaty dude at training, we're playing wrestling, and I'm absolutely fatigued. There's some sweaty dudes just beating my head in and laying on me for friggin' a whole session. And I get up at the end of the session exhausted, thinking, what am I doing with my life? I was comfortable before. I was sitting back drawing pictures on people for a living, making good money, and here I am now, like, what the fuck, But, then the next day rolls around, you get back into training, you have a good day, and you're like, actually, this is what it's here for. This is why I'm loving it, and I'm glad that I did make this decision and that I am sticking it out.
That's it. It's awesome, man. So in saying that, man, you've got a fight coming up. After that, what's your plans for the year? Expecting a certain amount of fights you'd like to do? You have any plans, or you're just going to take it as it comes?
Look, I'm like I said, I got some other people in the background working with me now. I'm just going to take it as it comes, whatever their advice is to proceed from there. I want to fight actively. If it wasn't for COVID and injuries and having kids, I would have fought 3 times as active as I am. I still consider myself probably one of the most active fighters going at the moment, man. Like, every opportunity that comes along, my hands up and I put my name in the mix, man. Like, I'm fighting actively, and I want to continue to fight actively. Like, this is what I do now. I have the time to do it. I've set the things up in my life, whether it, the managers in my studio and the people to manage my business and the counter staff, and my wife, she helps me so much at home with my kids and everything. And, my mother-in-law and my own mother and my family, everyone's coming together to help me to pursue my dreams. So I've got the time to do it. So, like, I've got no excuses to just sit back and enjoy the fruits of life. I already did that before I started this. That was why I started this. I got stale in my life. I had been so successful in business and so successful in tattooing and so successful in what I was doing that, I wasn't getting a kick out of anything anymore, like it was getting stale. So to go out there and give myself some hardship, it made me realize that I wasn't addicted to the end result. I was addicted to the journey. I'm addicted to going through struggles, overcoming them, and, coming out on top. And that's actually more beneficial for me. So to say that I'm going to stop and smell the roses, it's definitely not going to be for me, because I'm already comfortable in a comfortable position. I could sit at home and do nothing all day if I wanted to, play video games if that's what I wanted to do, or, go traveling around the world for 6 months of the year. I'm already in a position where I can do that, and I haven't even reached the UFC, like it's not my priority. So for me, staying active and to continue fighting and to pursue this career, that's my intentions.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I agree 100% on the challenge aspect, man. Very important for life and growing, to challenge yourself, right? Whether it's making yourself get up and go to the gym, or whether it's taking it to your extreme and getting in there and fighting other killers. It's a good thing, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, thanks for your time, and wishing you the best of luck coming up on May 7th, Eternal 65 against Dim Skillies, and of course, into the future as well, man. And thanks so much for your time, eh?
Thanks, Toby, mate. Hope you have a good one, and appreciate you for having me on this, bro.
Cheers, man. Thanks.
Good on you, legends. Kamikaze, May 7th. Come and watch me.